started, then I'll call the December 11th. I almost said 12th. Meeting of the Belleville Plan Commission to order at 6 p.m.
Want me to roll call?
Sure.
Okay. Lance Kosmarski.
Here.
Okay. Mike Service.
Here.
Barry Ziegler is absent. Jeff Larson.
Present.
Jared Wells.
Here.
Larry Enlow.
Here.
Harry Butts.
Here.
If you have a quorum.
Excellent. Public participation. Is there any member of the public wishing to be heard on any agenda and non-agenda item at this time? Can also wait until we're at the specific item you wish to speak on as well.
No hands, Chance.
What's that?
No hands, I said.
All right, I was gonna say, hearing none, I will move into the consent agenda and entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the November 13th Plan Commission meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the November 13th Plan Commission meeting. I'll second it.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Chair report, I have nothing. Staff and consultant reports.
I don't have anything.
Anything from our consultants? All right, hearing none, we will move to item 7, public hearing on an ordinance amending table number 3, lot, building, and yard requirements, residential of chapter 615 of the Village of Belleville Code of Ordinances. At this time, I will open the public hearing. Has the hearing been posted?
Yes, the public hearing was published in the Post Messenger Recorder on November 21st and 28th. I've included the affidavit of publication as part of the agenda packet. It was also posted at Village Hall, Belleville Public Library, and on the Village of Belleville website on Friday, December 6th.
All right. Is there anyone wishing to speak on this item? Is there anyone wishing to speak on this item? And the third time is, go ahead.
Oh, keep going, Chance. You're fine.
I was going to say, and third time, is anyone wishing to speak on this public hearing? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing on the proposed ordinance amendment. That'll move us into new business. Discuss and consider ordinance 2024-16, amending R-SH zoning lot standards.
This is just,
Anyone? Go ahead.
this is just a ordinance amendment to allow for the same size single-family lots that were approved as a PUD in the Baker's Woods phase that just recently came through. So the RSH zoning is the highest density single-family lot zoning that we have. And so this would change it to, I think, 6,000 square foot lots, 60 by 100. All the setbacks for building requirements and all the other requirements of the district would stay exactly the same. It's just the lot size that would change.
Okay. Any discussion on this?
So how much do we have zoned right now? Is this high density?
Well, pretty much everything that you see down here, Greenview, Sugar, Lazar, down in the Greene County portion, there are certain lots in the older section of the village that are approximate to this size,
Okay.
A little larger. But like I said, the most recent was the Baker's Woods PUD section, the single family matches that.
I mean, my only concern is then this is what's going to be the new standard, I think. I mean, just because you could fit about 1.3 more houses on an acre of land with this, so it does benefit the builder, I would guess. And then you're losing a significant, I mean, it's what, approximately 40 by 35, I think would be the 1350 difference in square footage. But me, I'm old school. I kind of like a little bigger area, but like if we can control it a little bit, I just worry that if we change something that will just be the pattern going forward, and we'll have these more concentrated neighborhoods with houses closer together without yard space. But it's just me.
The only areas that are currently zoned this are already built on. So anything new that would want to be zoned into
They would have to come to us then,
this would have to go through you guys.
because I understand there is probably a need for some of this, but
Yeah, no, I mean, it is becoming pretty standard to have lot sizes even smaller than this.
yeah.
I mean, you see down to like 4,000, 5,000 square feet lot sizes in neighboring communities. Verona, Wanakee, I believe, has one that's 4,500 square foot lot is their minimum. And so, yeah, I mean, it is becoming standard because, I mean, not only does it benefit the developer, it absolutely does, but it also benefits the home buyer if that's their cup of tea, because it obviously lessens the amount of money the total cost of the home is going to be.
Yeah, you would hope the home price goes down,
Yeah.
because they probably could put a same square footage house on there. But yeah, I agree. If the price goes down, that would benefit, for some home buyers or.
I mean, I live in a postage stamp lot in a old PUD neighborhood in Middleton, and my lot is smaller than 6,000.
Yeah.
And my house takes up the whole damn thing, so.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I think it's a double edged, so I don't disagree. I struggle with this a little bit because I would like to see larger lots too. That's just more attractive, but like developers aren't going to come in.
Yeah,
and
no, I
build,
get, yeah.
and the prices are going to be higher. So it kind of gets to that, like, how do you get to affordable housing? And like, developers aren't going to come in and donate, say, well, we'll just take it in shorts and not build. So I think it's, I don't know. It's a tough one.
And we do have a parks plan, right? So a minimum amount, which helps because if there are kids there, they're not going to have as big of yards. So I think if we ensure that we have that park space in place,
As long as everybody sticks to the plan.
that's right.
Well, and I guess my understanding would be we can control this through zoning as well, correct?
Yes.
So we can
We have some
apply
control.
it as needed. Okay. Anyone else have any discussion?
So what other zoning districts or what other zoning categories are there? So this would be residential, single family, high density, but is there other residential, single family?
Oh, God, yes, I don't have.
Medium density,
Is there
right?
medium density as well?
Or some,
Low density, medium
Yeah.
density, high density.
Okay, so there are other
And
chances
there's,
point.
2-family, multifamily.
Right.
There's the PUD zoning, which encompasses kind of commercial and residential uses. I think that might be it. I can't remember. We don't formally have an ag, but we do. Our ordinance is kind of incomplete there, but that would allow residential too if we had it. Don't.
So even if we were to think ahead, is because I think specifically this deals with the neighborhood that's planned in the southern part of town,
Yeah.
right? That's, I think, the whole sort of the point of this is we could even rezone that to be partially the high density, partial medium density, or it might be zoned that way to basically accommodate what we're talking about. So you don't have a bunch of houses on top of one another for
I mean,
200 properties or whatever it is.
so the applicant in that position, I mean, first the land would have to be annexed in the village to even accept an application for any kind of rezone. Right now in the future land use plan, it is, I forget the exact wording, but it is future neighborhood residential, I think is what it's called out for in the long range plan. So if it were to be entirely residential platted out, that would conform with our comprehensive plans. There wouldn't be any problem there. It's just a matter of, to what level of residential we're platted, and the preliminary plat would have to go through here.
Great, got it.
I was trying to find out in the zoning portion, what is the minimum lot size for medium density home?
Yeah, I totally didn't compare. Let me grab a computer.
But yeah, if we can control some of that with zoning and have, a good mix of the two, I mean, because I know there's arguments for it.
Yeah, I think of it the same way that we talk about, like, having, whether it's an apartment building or duplexes,
Yeah.
I think it's on that continuum, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think you want all of the houses or all of the properties in a specific neighborhood to be that condensed, but having that flexibility isn't a horrible thing.
Yeah.
Smaller lots make it even more imperative that the park is the proper size.
Yeah, and I'm glad that was,
Yeah.
brought up where we have a plan for that.
Yeah.
A certain amount size based on,
It existed before. I just don't think it was followed.
enforced and yeah.
Well, and the important thing is that there's language in that part of our ordinances that require usable park space, meaning it has to be park space, not just like wetlands or.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the key is just maintaining, making sure that moving forward,
It's holding
As
the line.
people turn over and, yeah.
Anything else on this, anyone wish to talk about? If there is no further discussion, I would entertain a motion. I guess we're pushing this to the village board. Does that sound correct?
That would be a recommendation to the village board. Yes.
Yeah, Chance, we're just, I think Ian's trying to look up what the minimum medium density lot size was. So.
Okay.
But I will create a motion as soon as that's done. I
No
suspect.
problem.
Okay.
I just got reconnected. I don't know if for some reason the internet wasn't working when I plugged my computer. Residential. So RSH we're talking about right now is 7,350 for the minimum. The next step up is 9,600, and the next step up is 12,150. Family and multifamily are 9,600. And there's a mobile home, and I don't even know what the RE is.
So the medium density you said is 9,300, 9,600,
That's 9,600.
9,600. It's a significant step up.
It's, yeah.
It would be remiss, yeah. Talking to Rick, the village attorney. I have an entirely new draft of the zoning code, and it kind of has closer steps in there with zoning districts, proposed zoning districts, but he just wanted to get this through, so it was.
No, understandable. I guess the question is like what you're suggesting is it would be a slightly smaller than that even? Might be a proposal coming down the pipe that would be smaller than 9,600, like closer to like 7,300 or 8,000.
Yeah, I kind of.
Are we adding another tier in, or it would just be?
It'd be completely redoing it, honestly.
But it'd be so right now there's three, right? There's high density, medium density, and low density. And then there's other categories as well,
Yeah.
but for single family homes, that's it. If we're redoing it, would it be like 4 levels or still three that would just be smaller?
Three main ones.
3 main.
Yeah, three main ones, that just the minimums would be smaller.
Okay.
And then there would be agricultural and rural.
Yeah.
Like that.
The other categories. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that myself, but I also like,
We just have, I like the fact that we do have some control of the zoning.
Yeah.
And we do have a parks plan, but yeah. Would like a mix, not just moving forward every lot's 6,000 square feet. That would just be my only,
From, yeah, I mean, from a development perspective, it would really depend on the land and their plan really going into it, but it's going to be dictated by the market more than anything else. I mean, obviously trying to get as much money as you can out of the land. But you know, if people are, if you're able to sell the smaller lot, single families like hotcakes, and you know, you're sitting on larger lot, more expensive lot, you're going to try to build the smaller lots.
Supposed to get
PUD's already done. This is expanding it outside of the west side development. This is the ordinance to allow for. So we've already made that adjustment because the PUD's already covered from this, not from this, but from actions we took before.
Yes, I mean, going back at least to my knowledge, how it started out was we got the conceptual that came here for the Greene County 250 lot development that they'd like to eventually annex and plat. But they wanted to get done with Bell West Baker's Woods first. And so they wanted to try, it's kind of a mix of them wanting to try the smaller lots for the single families in Baker's Woods and the Plan Commission, the board wanting more parkland there. And so to try to make that work, since we didn't have this in our ordinance, and it takes a few extra steps and more time than they wanted to allot to it at that time, we ended up going the PUD route. To rezone it to PUD for the smaller lot sizes for single family, which allowed a greater amount of parkland to be dedicated.
When is the expected present, like when would the other adjustments, when would that plan to be presented to the commission? And I'm not trying to put you guys on the spot so much, I'm just trying to.
So to me, it's going through the ordinances. We talked about it. I don't know.
It's gonna be a little while.
Well, and the reason I'm asking that is that, again, I think with our conversation, it's such a step up to medium density now, because I don't think.
I think I'm just gonna do it.
We don't, I mean, it's 9,600 square feet of land, which is a sizable lot right now.
You're talking about amending those to bring those numbers down potentially.
Yeah, I can explain with the, I have in the draft anyway, real quick.
And I guess to that, could we put another tier in there that was similar to what this is? Or was, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Even if we lower those a little, I don't know what that would look like, but
Yeah, we could say we want some kind of mix with this.
correct. Yeah, I just want the flexibility, but right, like if we shut the door on this, we're gonna have we don't have a negotiating point really to say like, well, it's either gonna be high density or medium density. Medium density is
3,600 square. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it's a big
like
difference.
half a lot, more than
Yeah.
half a lot.
Yeah, if some of those changes are coming soon, that would benefit us.
Okay, so then you want to have three residential centric divisions in their zoning divisions, kind of similar to what we have now. And then there are other kind of shoot offs. Right, so or like I said, there would be two different ag just in case, and then whenever we bring anything in, it has to be zoned to ag anyway when we annex it. But those would allow residential as a permitted use, so it could count as residential. There's R1, R2, R3. R1 would be 10,000, R2 would be 7,000, R3 would be this, which would be 6,000.
7,000 would be the next step up in that
That's what I
plan.
thought, yeah.
So the medium would be less than our existing high density right now.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd almost like to see that medium density go up a little bit, like that, at least higher than our existing right now, like 75 or something personally, but
All up for
debate.
discussion later, I guess. But yeah,
Makes a difference of 1,000 is, there's not much difference between those two from the high and the medium density, the proposal. And I get it, it's more attractive to developers and there is a market for cheaper houses, but
I just have a concern. Right now, we adjust this to 6. Like right now, the next step up is 9,600. So there's very little incentive for a developer because we don't
Yeah,
have that.
yeah.
We don't have that second tier adjusted down at all.
yeah, for sure, I think we have to modify that to make it more attractive.
Or even if we add, I mean, is it possible to add another tier in there that would be
as many as you want.
okay?
The creative name for it.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm
R4. I don't want to get too cavalier with this stuff.
And then how difficult is that to add? Like, not
It would be the same process as we're doing here. We just have to get whatever verbiage and
Yeah.
The other thing would just be comparing it to the other bulk use standards for like setbacks and all that other stuff to make sure that the buildable envelope allows for a house,
right.
all that good stuff. When you get below 6,000, you start having to mess with the setbacks and everything because you can't.
Yeah, I don't think we have any appetite to go smaller than this. I'm just wanting to just close that gap that exists because that would be important. So with that in mind, I would make a motion to recommend to board approval ordinance 2024-16 to reduce the required lot size or minimum lot size as outlined.
Is there a second to that motion? I'll second it. With that, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition?
Aye.
Was that a no?
There were no no's.
I didn't hear any.
No, no.
Okay.
Do we have any abstaining? Or did you guys all vote aye?
I just want to make sure that we
Delay.
Okay.
revisit the,
Well, yeah, can I make another motion at this point to ask staff to bring back to the plan commission 3 new tiers in addition to this one that one would be similar to the former level for this tier and then any potential adjustments for the other 2 tiers. I don't know if that requires a motion or just
So you want 4 residential zoning districts?
ultimately 4. So this one that we just created,
Okay.
that we lowered it to, I want one that, this was my take. I'd want one that's similar to what we had, maybe 7,500, 7,300, and then whatever the other 2, if we're reducing those or adjusting those, I'd prefer to see something, if that makes sense.
I can do that.
I don't.
yeah, I would feel better if we had
Trying to
that
make it
middle
more
ground.
complicated, I just like
I'm just trying to decide. I don't necessarily think that needs a motion. I think you can just recommend.
They should
make
be.
a recommendation. I'm fine with that. I'm not trying to make it difficult. I'm just like, I just want to cover that gap. I know, Ian. Add it to the tab.
That will work just fine.
I'm fearful that if we don't have that gap, we literally are sitting in a spot where like, right now it's 9,600 or 6,000. That's a pretty big gap.
Yes, that all depends. I mean, we met with somebody for potential development a while ago where they wanted to do more like rural residential. And so
Yeah, which is,
ultimately that's the minimum. So it
Yeah.
depends what they want to do, what price point they're trying to hit.
I think that's good discussion and definitely something to continue working on. If we have nothing else on that, we will move to the next item on the agenda. And that is discussion and consideration certified survey map application for 41 Frederick Street. Has everyone had a chance to review the report from the consultants?
I have. Everybody's,
Yes.
there's a lot of nodding going on, Chance, but
Okay.
I don't want to speak for everybody.
Is Rick there? Is the applicant there?
Yes, he is.
All right. I guess, Rick, we I think kind of discussed something similar. Do you have something new that you want to bring to us with this?
Yeah, so Corey Anderson, your engineer from DEC, his first question, well, what's changed the last time you were here? What's changed? I got a buyer for the corner lot. And of course, that he's not interested in the other building, the one was right on the night. And so to accommodate that sale during the street, that's what I'd like, that's black here. Before, and there was, well, let me just read. We use Daniel Fay across the street here, Boardman Clark for the legal packs for the sale. And so we were, dealing with this with the buyer, and a couple points he made. He said, number one, in review of chapter 600 subdivisional land and 615 zoning, we found no provisions prohibiting this division and use. The plan commission has authority to approve the land division. The second point he made, property zone BG, general business. BG has no minimum lot / yard standards. He's got a table showing that. Footnote 1 confirms the plan commission has the authority to approve this. Item 3, he mentioned the use of the property, woodworking does not have its own category in the permitted and conditioned uses table. Also got that included. But ordinance 615/10B states that if the plan commission finds the unspecified use to be sufficiently similar to specified permitting uses for the district, then it must be allowed. Furniture store is a permitted use, and we can make the argument that the woodworking is somewhat similar. On MSA's points, I talked with Short. A lot of those are things that he can fix, kind of details in the CSM. He didn't, Daniel also said, I don't find any basis for lot 2 having to be an outlot. Their comment that subdivision may limit redevelopment, MSA's second point, has no applicable basis in this municipal code and is speculative and also subjective. The rest of their points do not have bearing on this matter other than fixing the CSM. And that's what, the little details I think that Ed Short's been talking to Kevin Lord about. And he said, when I talked to Ed about this, he said, yeah, I can fix all Kevin Lord's points. There's some detail changes of CSM.
I don't think there's anything else I have.
Just, I work with you guys. We'd love to bring another business to Main Street. So, look at that. Both of those buildings quite a bit with paint and upgrade, especially the shop behind it. So yeah, Any question?
Corey, do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, the application is for a certified survey, ma'am. I guess I had reached out to Rick via email and phone, did not get a response. So, the last
My
we talked,
apologies.
yeah, the last we talked to him was summer of 23. I was just wondering what's changed since then, and I guess he's provided an update. At this point, it's just a application for a CSM to divide the parcel. You have Kevin's comments as far as the intended use. If it's woodworking and if it's not listed in the zoning ordinance, then yeah, there's discretion, for the village to make a determination if it's something that should be permitted or conditional use or not permitted. Generally, if it's not listed, it's not allowed. And keep in mind that this building on this lot, 2, is more or less, I guess, label it as a garage. There's no sewer and water to it. There's no restroom or anything to that effect.
Is there any discussion from the commission on this?
If I can add one more item I just thought of. I had with me, I think it was back in 21. I think it was like Anthony, the glass house detail shop. I could go in there. And at that time, we had moved out, so that was 5, 6 years after we moved the dealership up to the west side. And at that time, Village and Planning Commission said, hey, you gotta have a separate CSM for all those. So we did that. That's the other reason I think. I think you approve this.
So what are the potential implications if there's no sewer and water to the parcel?
Corey?
Yeah, I guess from
Here's-
a use standpoint, I guess if you have to go to the bathroom, where are you going to go? Is he going to have a porta potty out there, or it comes down to there's two different things here. It's the CSM to divide the property, and then down the road, whatever he intends to do with it, the intended use. If it's not permitted or conditional use, I guess that'll be determined at that time. Also as far as building separation and building code, and that comes down to use as well. If he has to apply for a building permit, putting that dividing line or that property line in there, affects how the building code is reviewed and the use is, reviewed as well. So, it's putting that dividing line could have implications on, how the building might have to be modified, from a building standpoint to meet things such as fire code.
I guess my understanding is the issue in front of us is just the CSM, and what that space would be used for is a separate issue that would have to come back, correct?
That's our understanding.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay. So I guess trying to just focus the conversation, does anyone have any more discussion on just the CSM aspect? If there is no further discussion on it, I would entertain a motion to approve the CSM application
I'm just trying to understand the implications of this though, because it's not that I'm opposed to it necessarily. I'm just trying to understand what it is we're doing. We're separating the lots into 2 lots, but the result of that.
You're gonna
is-
create one
is-
lot that you really don't want downtown.
Well, that's kind of the question, I think, is, and I agree with you that it's like, that's a different issue, but like, there's also part of this conversation is like, do we want to make that, and do we want to even accommodate that issue? I don't know the answer to that.
I don't either, and that's why I'm trying to, I guess, just separate the issues right now. The issue in front of us is the CSM. Yes, it has other implication. But it's not an agenda item necessarily, and I don't know that those other issues, I mean, they absolutely have an impact, but do they steer the question in front of us on the CSM? I don't know.
I think they're in the feedback that we received from our consultants.
For
So
sure.
I would say they're pertinent to this question. And and maybe I'm wrong about that, but that would be my,
Yeah, can these be resolved?
Those can all be resolved. The ones that Kevin has can all be resolved, if you want to go through those.
The roof structure encroaching over, I mean, all that.
So, are you guys familiar with the way that building looks from Frederick Street?
Trying to.
I've probably got some pictures too of it. But, so there is a, it looks like it's all one building because when Kate Machine ran it, and speaking of wood today, he had a wood burner between those 2 buildings. If that makes everybody feel better, I'll knock that down. I really don't need it. I might knock it down anyway.
sure.
And then that would answer that question, which is, it's a little iffy anyway, what he's saying there, right? It's kind of like, maybe, yeah, you right?
Yeah.
That's how that worded. So anyway, that would take care of that problem. And then all the rest of them, I think, are kind of details where we're a ½ inch off on one of the corners or something. And that's what Ed has spoken with Kevin and said we can take care of those. All the details that Kevin talks about, particularly the CSM. Yeah, Jeff, when you talk about, what downside of approving this.
Sure.
Is because it might limit what can happen.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, for instance, if the big hotel comes and wants to buy the corner.
Sure. Yeah.
The first one.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's that as much as I think there are some certain things that, and it's not that I disagree with the attorney relative to their statements, but I think there's comments that are about the zoning part of it. We start to I don't say manipulate that, but when we start talking about some of that stuff, it's kind of like, well, does that make sense? Is that a line? And it becomes a little more muddy, right?
Well, but when I started
Yeah.
digging in, especially when we got the legal side of the thing.
Yeah.
Like, wow, there's a little more gray in here.
Correct, yeah.
Than what I expected. And,
Yeah.
I expected to have it all black and white. I think that's what we all want all the time.
And I'm assuming what your plan is you just continue using it as a wood shop essentially.
Right.
But does it even have power going to it?
Yes, it does.
It has power, it just doesn't have any utilities.
You're correct, Paul's there, but I'm downtown on Main Street, or
Sure.
also right down the street.
Right.
You really have no need for
Sure.
the water and that stuff. And like I say, I'd be the first one. I wonder about the conditional use deal too. If that would, I think it is a separate issue with the CSM. We need to approve the CSM, right? What to approve the CSM?
Yeah.
Because then we can move forward with, if it's a conditional use report, that gives you guys here to, you can have that in annual, right? Where you review my conditional use. No, you're not having this here because we got we give you a little, the things we're talking about the future where, my legal side, my legal guy says, hey, it's a little speculative.
Yeah.
You guys would have a little more control over that thing too. So I'd entertain that too. But to get the sale done, I gotta be able to see if I'm taking care of it. And it's really, but accommodate that bigger lot. And we have entertained, and I have at least 2 people that have talked to me about, that corner lot and also the green space on the other side of
Sure.
bake areas. and you guys have talked to people too.
Sure,
Bigger projects than that, and I, you know.
Yeah.
I hope we well enough, I'm not gonna
Yeah,
make it
no,
a way of something that's, whatever's best for Belleville, Main Street,
Yeah,
I want.
it's not so much that, it's just more the, like, pieces start to fall into place when you start doing stuff.
And I understand.
Still pretty new to the planning commission and process. Can someone tell me just what is the purpose of a CSM? And
Certified survey map. It's basically approving the movement of property lines. There's a bunch of different things you can do with the CSM, but it's basically moving or removing a property line.
We're defining,
Well, so your house has got kind of, you know, when you buy, you know.
Right, they're
You're talking about you paid good money for it, so you have to know exactly where this thing is at. And it even gets more important when you're downtown. Your lot lines.
so changing the map isn't effectively splitting the lot then.
Yeah, in this case, it's
Case.
creating.
There's not much you can do with that smaller parcel according to this, right? You can leave it with the wood shop.
When I do that, I could go to a lot.
Does that mean
This
the
house
lot?
too, we could go look at really small businesses. You go to Verona and there's the guy with the bat, makes the sluggers. It's backy building just like that and, you know, run the business out of it. So it's.
I mean, it just says lot 2 should be now lot, as it does not meet the minimum lot standards and not available for zoning code. So the existing structure, you could maybe do something if it met some of those requirements, but
There's a few things to consider. I mean, you guys are the ones who consider the future as far as buildings and planning and zoning and all that stuff goes. So you guys' job is to look in the future and say, well, 10 years, 20 years from now, what? There's that. As far as the lot goes, I mean, basically creating a small questionably buildable lot that is going to be used for like a light industrial purpose, or my opinion anyway, and doesn't have any facilities. Does it have heat? All right, so it has heat, it has electric, doesn't have sewer or water, which is required with any site plan for anything, is to have sewer and water. The only reason it didn't have to have it before is because it was an accessory structure, and now it will be the principal structure. And so there's that issue. The other issue is it being downtown in the district, business district. So a light industrial use with no retail component to it really wouldn't be ideal for a downtown business. So that's just a few points off the top of my head because this is my first time seeing the whole thing.
Make a point about the light industrial, which Belleville did this years down there, and I'm much lighter woodworking than you.
Yeah.
I'm actually building instruments. That's how light duty this thing is.
Yeah, no, I it's like I said, though, like that one, at least I wasn't around long enough to see everything up with that. But I mean, that one seemed like it had a retail component to it. So I could see that being a downtown.
And the same thing with the retail component. I already have people coming to me, hey, can you fix this?
Sure.
And you know, I'm like a sales guy. I can have retail license anytime. And I do, the future is, if I live long enough, is to actually build instruments. So that'll be a little bit of
I'm really hung up on no sewer and water to a principal structure.
I don't disagree, I'm just,
and why is that?
Trying to project out into the future of, you know, what might happen with that piece of property and, you know, 10 years from now or whatever, or, you know, if you're in there working all day, you're gonna have to go out and use some other businesses' facilities or something.
Yeah, but so the depot is a good example. I can go down Vine Street. All warehouses.
the depot could get water and sewer
No
though.
water.
Meets the requirements, it could get.
I mean, we could bring water and sewer into it and
You see, I would look at that as maybe something that might not, so if the big deal came, something that we'd love to have on that corner, maybe bigger than the next one. You know, maybe that's even cumbersome. If we've got a separate water line going into the back. And that way too, I think. That's what I mean about the grade, you know, or we're speculating the future and that's sort of the future. I think, right, that's kind of what we're talking about.
Well, so I have to go on the assumption that things aren't going to change in major ways.
Rick, correct me if I'm wrong, you do have water in that building.
You see, but that's where, that's what's confusing, is because it's got that little tiny wood heating thing that does, Paul used to have pipes going between the two. And there is water and sewer in, the big building on the corner lot. Nothing in that. That was always parts, you know, storage was always. It does not have sewer and water to it. Everything else, electricity. Everything else is there.
Well, unless I'm wrong, how did you wash cars when you were at the dealership?
Well, we did see those were in the front building. It's, do we have a picture of the people that was pumping?
Hold something up on the camera. Sorry, give me a second.
It's actually pretty recent too.
Yeah.
It's painted.
Yeah. No, you so the picture shows the
Yeah.
new painted one. Good.
Google Maps.
Yeah, good. Excellent. Yeah, see, so that's, you know, up there, so. Now I get there's a vehicle right here. That's the little thing we're talking about. See that little red part right there? And it actually, there's about 6 inches that much space between each side of it.
Mhm.
And, but Paul had it knocked out where he sent heat into here and heat into this guy. And, I talked about knocking it. So I think, you know, it seems to be a subject here, so I certainly won't get rid of that. So then those two buildings would have, I think that's probably 10 to 12 feet separation then. You got a picture where that, with that UTV or whatever that is there in the way. Yeah, you people don't understand.
This would just be knocked down here and have that separation.
Yeah, so this is the building we're talking about. This part, see, I have this picture too, shows there's a UTV right in the way. Little brick build. Yes.
Yeah, and this is separating. Rick, is that the telephone?
Exactly.
Is that what you want to keep?
Yes. That's the piece of history on that is so that building actually is located right behind the village hall. In the 70s, Paul Kate picked it up, the telephone companies, that's where they did their business at that time. And they closed that office. And then, because there wasn't a drive-through, Jerry, you know what I'm saying? The bank had been remodeled, right behind the building. And then Paul Kate picked the building up, laid a cement slab and brought it up to where his shop was. That's the old telephone building. And they're tracky steel buildings that, you know, they're still made over in Oregon. But I'm struggling too to find a picture of that. I can't believe it.
So it's like, here, like that right there. If this is the building for sure, this is the connection. Yeah, it's this, like. This. Right. Yeah. What's everybody think?
Yeah, so I got a picture of that.
So is it like a wall that's like kind of that goes north-south?
Yes.
Basically, and that contains like a duct or something?
Yeah.
To get there.
Yeah. And see, and it's not even there anymore. Said Paul had it open, you know, so we have separate heat in both buildings now.
Got it, okay.
Yeah.
So that wall is still there, but that's,
Yeah, it's a little square brick building between those two buildings, between the
I think
two
that's-
buildings. We knocked that.
Best I've been able to find is it,
And I
the roof
I
of it
like to take it down
here.
got it, okay, got it, okay. Yeah, because like from the street, you can only see the front of it, so it's,
Yeah.
got it.
The picture you got there.
It's, yeah, so I just went a little bit further down the street so I can see.
Good, yeah. That's the building, right?
Yeah, gotcha.
See, that's, I think we're talking about the roof lines. See, so it takes care of a couple problems for me to just take. it
Sure.
down. And I think it might look a little better.
Sure, to,
Yeah,
got
got some nice green space behind it.
gotcha.
I mean, if that was taken out, would that change what our consultants say? They recommend or? I mean, based on the paperwork we received, they're both saying deny. So if some of those things are met, they would recommend approval. I guess I'm trying to find out where to go.
I think there's some of the comments are related to use, right, and zoning use, and I don't know that necessarily changes that part of it. I think Rick made some comments that like might dispute that a little bit. But I think from a MSA's comments.
Yes,
Some of those would be,
let's go through MSA's, because I think that's what we're going on here. I think that as far as Corey's comments, he does for he's dealing more with the future, in which, you know, I've got a legal opinion, but that's not really what we're talking about here. That's speculative. We don't know that's gonna happen. So if you look at, I'm looking at Kevin's form there, number 1, lot 2 should be an outlet, as it does not meet minimum lot standards, and it's on buildable codes. And I've got a legal opinion that says, no, what Mr. Fay says,
If you forget all the use things, just forget all the uses.
I think so, yeah,
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay, good.
This is an application for use. Basically, you'd be approving a 2,200 square foot lot with a garage that on it as the principal structure in the downtown business district.
A question before you, do you want to do that?
So if in the future, any use wanted to be on there, other than basically cold storage, they would need to conform to everything, all the requirements of the site plan, which means that they would need sewer and water. They would need facilities, all the good stuff. But right now, it's just a garage. That would be the principal structure.
yeah, so I did find it, so, MSA's comment subdivision maybe, limit redevelopment has no applicable basis in this code and inspect the rest of, let's see. I don't find any basis for lot 2 having to be an outlet. And it is, when you look at the description of outlots, it's a lot more gray than what an outlot is.
So to your point, Ian, so you said if anybody would come and want to develop that lot,
Want to use it for any other purpose than basically storage. Because I mean, anybody who owns a lot can go and store things in their building.
right? So they would have to bring sewer and water into it at minimum.
For any kind of continued use, yes.
So, and this is where I don't know all the ordinances and everything. So if this is approved, we're essentially like grandfathering in a structure that's not meeting those requirements,
That would be,
but yet it's going to be a new business, right?
oh no, you're not approving a business.
Right. Oh, well, I know.
Yeah, so it's a weird thing between, what you guys have to do and what's sitting in front of you. It's not a business. It's just a lot.
Right.
That's all it is. And, our zoning code for downtown commercial district does not have any minimum lot size, does not have any setbacks, does not have any requirements whatsoever on a lot. So basically it's entirely up to the discretion of this body and ultimately the board, what gets approved and why. So right now it's an accessory structure. It's fine. It would become the principal structure on that lot. We're not talking about uses. We're just talking about structures. And because there are no setbacks requirements or anything like that, as long as it's not encroaching on any of the neighboring lots, you're not creating a legal non-conforming use. You're just, kind of giving the garage an attaboy, I guess, to a principal structure. I don't know. But yeah, so that's it. Like I said, I'm just seeing it, so I've been kind of rifling through stuff, seeing, does it meet this, does it meet that? I know we have a minimum width for a lot on a street, and it's 25 feet. This was 26 feet, so check, that's done. I was just looking at a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, but I don't know. I didn't see where Kevin or Corey had looked at the downtown design standards. I have absolutely no idea if there's anything there. I didn't see where, who was it? Corey mentioned in the comprehensive plan, or mentioned the comprehensive plan, but I didn't see anything specifically in there, and I haven't. So I have no idea. But just on the face of it with what I've seen, that's what you have to consider, and that's what's in front of you. So you'd be creating a very small lot that right now has a garage on it.
Does anyone have any other discussion on it? Someone want to make a motion, not make a motion? Table it till we have additional information?
House, Rick. House. But I was doing this in my basement, was that all that dust stayed in your house and but that's one of the thoughts we were gonna do something in our backyard, that double lot, and of course that was sitting empty and so heck and it was black now. I think that is a very good point that Ian makes, is that we're talking about CSM here, not the, whatever. At that point, absolutely, down my warehouse is down on the bike trail there. We developed those, the sewer and water is all brought to the lot line, but we would have to bring that in, bring it the rest of the way. And the other thing we do is accommodate a sale for that big lot in front.
So essentially, you want to bring a business, but keep your shed for
Yeah.
personal use.
Yeah. And that's why this is here. Because my buyer's not. Yeah, clear this up, which is just what the village said back in 21, when we were getting a detail guy to move in. Hey, you gotta straighten out these, because that was all one huge CSL, even the residential house was on a commercial lot. What do you think about that? We've done a really good job of cleaning that up.
We have to apply.
Have certified, legal certified site plans. So, and that is the other thing I think that we were talking about. Ian and Gabe, doesn't, this body approves it, board approves it, doesn't the county get a shot at it too?
It's 5.
Oh, got it. Oh, okay. Township.
They might have to sign it, but we just sent it to register
Your,
of deeds.
yeah,
You know,
your
there's no
county
approval.
registered deeds has to record it, but that's just a record of the C of all that, the actual approval.
I thought they were also looking at it and approving it.
No,
If it's in
in-
a town or
Yeah.
if it's in one of the towns, yeah, there's
Okay,
like a
okay.
whole extraterritorial circle.
Because we have a plan commission, the county doesn't need a plan commission for us. Yeah, you take it to the registry of deeds for recording.
Thank you.
Is this a recommend approval? Is that if we were doing,
I don't remember what
is it?
Chase
So,
already made the
The last one no, he didn't make a
Oh,
motion.
I thought
He
you-
asked for someone to make a
What
motion.
I'm asking is it
Um,
recommend the board approve it if we were making a motion?
yeah, yep. You don't recommend a negative, so yeah.
No, but it isn't.
it has to go to the board.
It does, that's my question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
This body can't make the decision.
The recommendation goes to the board. I believe we just did one of these. I think that's how that worked.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a recommendation to approve this, just to hopefully to get to discussion on it.
Can we add anything like that connecting structure, like you say, be removed?
Yeah.
So that there is,
It'll give short time to clean up MSA concerns too.
Yeah.
I mean, that would
Specific.
make me feel better about,
Yes, definitely. And this is your only time to add anything to it.
I would add that.
Yeah, so I'll, make a motion to recommend the board approve this application with the MSA's contingencies addressed and the removal of the smaller building in between the two sections.
Yeah. I'll second that.
So the reason why I made the motion was we're not any worse off than where we are now.
And the board can,
And it brings another business into town. I think Rick is certainly amicable to, like, I'm thinking of, that could be a parking lot in the future, that could be any number of things. I don't know that it
and we
harms us.
control that use.
Correct. So that's where my head is at relative to that anyway. Because if we leave it, he's gonna keep doing his woodworking, the building just sits vacant. And
Yes.
that's essentially what's gonna happen, I think,
It is.
which I'm not,
Hold it up.
it's, yeah, so. That's my thought process. For whatever that's worth. It may or may not persuade you, but that's what, that's where
No,
I'm landing.
I think Rick has as much risk in this as the village does at this point.
Yeah.
So having a motion called and second, is there any other conversation on it? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
It took me a while to process it, so I apologize that it takes me that much.
No worries, like you said, it's something. Yeah, comment about the more graded black and white. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. I will make a motion to adjourn if you're okay with that, Chance.
I was just about to ask that. I'll entertain a second.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it carries. We're adjourned at 7:07.